Hello everyone, my name is Evelyn of Pink Sheep Design, and today we are talking about crochet hooks. I really wanted to do an update video because, as you guys may or may not know, we produce and sell our own line of crochet hooks. These are ergonomic crochet hooks. I have a whole bunch here that we are going to look at. But the offerings of crochet hooks have changed dramatically since we started. When we first started creating crochet hooks, we 3D print these crochet hooks in our basement. So these are handmade by us through the whole process. So we started off with these 16mm hooks, played around with different types of resin, different types of designs for the ergonomicness of the hooks. And once we finally got this down, this became our classic 3D printed hook. We continued to add different sizes. At this point, we go all the way from an 8 and 9mm, which those are still kind of new, so we don't have any in stock right now. Those go very fast, but as people start to collect them, those sizes will remain in our shop a little bit longer. We actually have a large release coming out, hopefully at the end of this month. This is being filmed January 2023, so I'm hoping that we'll have some more of those 8 and 9mm hooks in the shop this year, but this is one of our 10mm hooks. I will flip the camera around so you guys can get a better look at these. But size-wise, this is our 10mm. We go all the way up to a 35mm crochet hook. So from technically an 8 all the way up to a 35 in our classic 3D printed ergonomic hook design. All right, so we've got those. Now, something that I wanted to talk about too is the ergonomic part of the handle. So the fact that this is a little bit wider on the handle only goes up to an 18mm. Once you get up to a 19, it becomes a straight line hook because adding more width to the handle here actually caused me more hand pain. And so I stuck with a straight design all the way up through the 35mm. We keep them super lightweight, which is the main thing when you're working with super bulky and jumbo style yarn, is that the yarn is already heavy. So I can't use a heavy crochet hook with heavy yarn, or it's not going to be very much fun for my hands and my wrists and all of that. So these are super lightweight. But last year we added hybrid hooks. So if you ever hear me talk about classic versus hybrid, this is classic, all 3D printed. This is hybrid. So the hybrid is a metal crochet hook. The metal hook runs all the way through the handle. We don't cut them off, which adds to the stability of the hook. And then we've got a 3D printed ergonomic handle that is the same design as our classic hooks. All right. So these run all the way from, I think, a 2mm all the way up to a 10mm. So you can get a 10mm classic, or you could get a 10mm hybrid. The hybrids are the best if you need something that is a workhorse. So if you're going to be using t-shirt yarn to make super tight baskets or bags, you're not going to want to use a 3D printed classic hook because these are still plastic. We try to make them as strong as we can, but you're not going to want to be using them for something that really puts a lot of torque on the hook because they could break. But now that we have these hybrids, you can have the metal 10mm insert with the plastic handle, which allows you to have all the benefits of the ergonomic part of the hook handle while having much more of a workhorse in the actual metal part of the hook. So the other option that we now have is we have these hybrids that are coated, and now these are the same price as the classics, but we wanted something that was a little more of an affordable price range for our hooks. So we started selling the uncoated hybrid hook. So if you ever hear me say uncoated hybrid pink sheep crochet hook, this is what I'm talking about. Now these hooks, and again, I'm going to flip the camera around so you can get a closer look, but these hooks do not go through the process of getting resin coated. There's a little bit more texture to the handle, and I've had a lot of great feedback that these are really good if you get sweaty hands When you're working with yarn, sometimes the feel of the resin coating, that smoothness, isn't that great on a sweaty hand? So I've heard really great things about people from these uncoated crochet hooks, that they like that texture of the handle. So let's flip the camera around and take a closer look at all three options. All right, guys, so we have got all of these hooks here to check out. So let's start with the classic sizes. You can really get a closer look at these hooks. So this is the classic 10mm hook. This is resin coated, so it has a sheen and a smoothness to it. We resin coat these twice to try to make them as smooth as possible. We do have an inline style hook. And I do have to say, if you've never used an inline style hook for jumbo yarn, you may be surprised. I've heard from a lot of people that prefer a tapered hook, but when they move up into those super bulky and jumbo yarn categories, the inline style of these hooks can make that yarn a lot easier to work with. So that may be something to consider. Now, all of our hooks are stamped on the bottom. So this is a 10mm hook here. We do use millimeter sizes instead of the standards because we print a lot of sizes that are not in the standard category range. So for instance, we sell a 14mm hook. We sell a 15mm hook. We sell a 20mm hook. And some of those are not listed under the Craft Yarn Council standards for hook sizes. So as you can see, ergonomic style grip. Now this ergonomic style ends at the 19mm hook range. So this is a 19mm hook. Let's see if we can see, there we go. Stamped on the bottom, 19mm, harder to see in the black, but again, it's also harder to show on camera. But that is our 19mm hook. This was one of our Cosmos releases, so we used a beautiful mica powder over the top in our resin. So to me, it kind of looks like one of those cool bowling balls, you know? But that is the 19mm hook, again, inline style, straight handle, and super lightweight. And then we have all the way up to our 35mm hooks, which are produced the same way. Inline style hook. I try to make the throat of this nice and deep so that your yarn actually has space to fit into that groove so you don't lose your yarn as you're trying to go through your stitches. And again, you can see stamped on the bottom, 35mm there. All right, so these would be examples. Oh, and I forgot our 16mm, so let's look at that. This is the true classic because when we first started releasing hooks, we only released 16mm hooks. That was my go-to size for so many things. So that's where we started out. This is a coral colored hook. We used coral mica powder, so it's nice and shiny there. And I really wanted to fill what I thought was really a hole in the marketplace because there weren't a whole lot of options for people who wanted to use these much larger crochet hooks. You know, there's a lot of options below 10mm, but when you get above 10mm, you don't have a ton of options. And I want pretty hooks, you know, so decided to make them myself. Now, the way that I use a knife grip to hold my hooks. I have heard from people, pencil grip is not going to work as well really on any jumbo hook. So that's the thing. If you move up into kind of the 16mm range, it's going to be harder and harder no matter what hook you buy to try to use knife grip. So I've had a lot of my testers have said that they have learned knife grip when they're using these, but I have heard good things about our smaller hooks for people who have who tend to hold with a pencil grip, so they can hold down here. This is not bad for them, so they will actually continue to use their pencil grip method with these smaller hooks. All right, so what we added this year, once we really kind of mastered the process for these, so we are releasing new colors for these. It used to be every month, but our releases have gotten bigger, so I would say every 2 to 3 months we have a nice big release of about 30 to 40 hooks. But we have just started doing these coated hybrid hooks. So this one is coated, so you can see all of the sparkle and the shine, coated just like our classics, but they have this metal hook insert. There we go. Now they are also stamped on the bottom. So this is an 8mm hook that we've got here. And again, same ergonomic style grip. And I apologize, my camera's a little slow to refocus when I'm moving around so much. But same ergonomic grip. And again, if you are using a pencil grip and you hold a little closer up on the hook, that may still work for you here with these. But I designed these for myself originally, and since I am a knife grip holder and I tend to choke up on my hook, I want to be close enough to feel like I have control over the top of my hook. So that is why these are placed the way that they are. We also have, this is another resin coated hybrid hook, so you can see the shininess here. We also offer the Susan Bates inserts. Now all of these are glued into place or resined into place, so they're not removable. And again, this was a 4mm Susan Bates. The last one that we offer now that I wanted to share with you guys are these uncoated hybrids. So you can actually see the layer lines. This is how they print. When we sand the other ones, we actually have to go through, or when we resin coat the other ones, we have to go through and do a bunch of sanding to get this nice and smooth. Now it's still smooth to the touch, but it's almost like it's got ridges. But again, this is really great if you like that tactile nature of hooks. It would be similar to something like a wood hook. Let's see, we'll check the bottom. See what size this is. This is a 5mm here. And this is also a Susan Bates insert. There. So this is just one, and I've got one more to show you guys. This is another uncoated hook. So when we look up close, see if we can really zoom in there, you can see that it does not have that shine that the other hooks have because it has not been resin coated. So this is more of like our entry-level design if you want to try out the shape of our hooks. So if you want to make sure the shape of our hooks works for your hand, we try to keep that ergonomic handle throughout all of our hybrid hooks because none of them are too large. The hybrid hooks go up to a 10mm, so we're able to maintain that ergonomic shape throughout all of the sizes that we offer. But that's really it. That is my hook update for 2023 of what Hooks Pink Sheep Design now offers. We're super excited to try new things in 2023. If there's things that you would like to see, colors you'd like to see, styles of hooks you'd like to see, I would love for you to hop in the comments of this video and let me know what you think. If you have one of our hooks, I would love to know what you think. So again, just pop in the comments, and then if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I will continue to check this video, answer any comments and questions you may have. And until next time, happy hooking!